GSU friends, glad to be back, and we're going to, well, in my case anyway, we're going to end the day with a exploration of a great tool for engagement as far as video learning goes, and that is Canvas Studio. So let's go ahead and investigate our objectives here. The aim here is for you to get a really good understanding of how to use the studio tool for videos, getting students engaged in videos, measuring progress. So we'll learn how to access Studio, how to create and manage that content within Studio, apply some options. So if you want to move beyond having students passively watch the video, know that you can add notes that pop up during the video. Those are called annotations. You can even add quiz questions that pop up as students progress through the video. You can add both, by the way. And although you have these options, obviously as an instructor, students can even create studio videos and add their own annotations as part of a studio assignment submission. Can also have students obviously engage with those studio video quizzes for grades that are recorded in the gradebook if you wish. Before all of that can happen, though, you have to know how to get videos into Studio and integrate that content into Canvas courses. Now, just be aware that when we get to that point, that there are multiple ways to get Studio to work for you. So I will try to be as clear and specific as possible because you can have students passively watch a Studio video, or you can have Studio be part of student grades. But the workflows are different. That's what I'm trying to get across. Although it may look the same, they're not actually the same. And finally, we'll look at what it's like to grade studio content that has been submitted by students. So you are not new, of course, to the idea that students should be engaged in their courses, and that video is a powerful tool for that. Studio, being that it works seamlessly with Canvas, obviously, allows for you to be in the same platform and manage and engage those students directly. You can even engage in collaboration with other instructors. So let's say I'm always eternally going to use the example of chemistry. So if I am teaching Chemistry 101 with a group of other instructors, we can share chemistry videos that we find useful, that we find either online, like on YouTube, or that one of us has created and just wants to share with the others. The point being that we try to decrease our collective load. So I make the first lecture video, I share it out, the others benefit, then my colleague over here makes the video for the next topic. And finally, you can analyze studio data. You get great data when students submit studio quizzes. You also can see if a student has watched a video and if they have watched the whole thing from front to end, or if they have watched only certain parts. Have they strategically skipped over certain parts of the video? You'll be able to access data like that inside the studio interface too. So I hope that got you a little bit excited and curious as to what you can do with Studio. But before we can get to this endpoint of having great data to look at, we need to get videos into Studio. So that's where we're going to go ahead and start. So if you are inside of Canvas, and by the way, it's fine if you're not, you will see here inside your global navigation a button right above the help button that looks like an octopus computer. This octopus computer is your portal into your Global Navigation Studio library. Just so that you know, students also have a button like this. Now, you can't access your students' library, nor can they directly access yours, but know that you and they have a space for Studio here. So when you click on that octopus computer here in Global Nav, you will end up in a space that looks kind of sort of like this, except I took the advantage of putting in a video just to show you what that looks like. And your students will see this too. So this is that global navigation studio. Now, while you've been working inside your Canvas courses, you may have noticed, maybe out of the corner of your eye without thinking too much about it, the fact that you actually have a studio link in course navigation. So you may be curious as to, well, what's the purpose of the global studio and what is this course navigation studio? It seems like duplication. So let me try to explain the differences the best I can. Your global studio is frankly where you're going to spend the majority of your time. This is where you will access your library of videos you have found from elsewhere, as well as videos that you might choose to create yourself. And there's options here that we'll get into a bit later. This is also where you can access videos that others have shared with you. And we'll go through that workflow too. So if Karen shared a video with me about chemistry, I would locate it here. Now, where the global and the course areas intersect is this area. So you see, you have a space called Course Collections. And if you click on Course Collections, you'll see in the dropdown a list of courses where you may have studio videos already residing. And that's what you access when you go into the course link in Studio. Now, to be clear, you can, inside a course, create and upload videos here. You can. You can also search. You can also exert a filter to drill down into videos that you have living here too. But the difference lies in, I think, two avenues. The first is that inside of your library here, when you have videos, you see each video has a menu. And so when you select on the menu, you get all these options that pop up, like how to get quizzes going, how to annotate and share your videos, how to add tags, how to archive, meaning we don't want this video anymore. We want to stash it somewhere safe. You will not have the same option for videos that live here. So if I were to upload that same silver video, I can click on the three dots for it and I would not have those choices. So what that means for you is if I wanted to start to set up, say, a video quiz, I have to do it here from the global area. If I want to add these notes that pop up while students watch the video, that's annotation, you have to be here in the global area. Does that make sense? So if you want to add these additional options, you have to be in this space. So now you might be thinking, well, what's the point of this then? If I can only see the videos that are in use in the course, what options lie here? Honestly, this serves as a space for you to know at a glance what videos are part of your course. So because this looks a little empty and not too helpful, I want to show you my own Canvas with its studio components. So here is inside a course. Here is that studio link inside the course. So just to give you an idea, right? These are all of the videos that are in use in various locations. So I know you're seeing repetition. This means that there are two specific Canvas items that are using this video. You'll also see videos that students upload here. So this is an upload from a student that was her submission to an assignment. So this is a kind of a convenient way to see what videos are in use here, but that's it, right? You see, the only option you have is to remove videos from the course. You can't make those quizzes or annotations here. Now, if you're wondering, can students see this? Good question. I'll go ahead and show you just by using that convenient View as Student button. Remember that our instructor has access to that studio link, but you see here in our test student that they don't. So the course studio is literally just for you to know what videos are in use. Students' only access to studio is here. And also when they go to submit assignments, they'll also have a way into studio there, but that's it for them. Now, other things you can see inside of your course studio. There is a little drop down here that allows you to go back to the global area. So just so you know, the global studio is called My Library. So if you didn't want to click on the octopus, you don't have to. You can go straight to that global area from here, and you can access the shared videos from here. So I hope that gives you a good idea as to what the differences are, right? And if you're looking for the shortcut version, Helen, that's a lot of detail. Um, just go to the global studio when you want to do something with the video, when you want to add quiz questions or annotations to it. All right. So let's head into Studio here, except I'll go back to MTSU to do that. So here we are here. Let's get an orientation to a little bit more of the space here. So inside your global area, you have what are called your collections. And we know what these are. We went through these already. My library, shared library, the course areas. And the archive area is an area where you view all those videos you've chosen to hide because you're not using them anymore. You can sort these in different ways. You can also access your user settings here. More on that in a moment. Since we're inside the library area, you see the videos that are displayed here. And right over here, you can modify how you see your library. If you think about the dashboard for a minute, right? This is the closest equivalent to the course cards on the dashboard. But if you don't like it, you don't have to live that way. Here is that list view so that you don't see the picture, but you can still access the video through the link here. And you see like duration and upload date and where the video came from. And that three dots area lets you see the menu options, the same ones you saw on the card. Up here at the top, I mentioned the search and the filter. So let's take a look at the filter here for a moment. You can, we'll have to pretend, but if you have a ton of YouTube videos, let's say, you can just choose to see them here. If you have inserted media tags, I'll show you how to do that a bit later. You can search by tag, by whether they have captions or not. And then just view only the videos added to your library within dates that you specify. And then you apply the filter. And it can cut down on a lot of clutter. So I'll just share, I hope humorously, that my own library is an extremely busy place, as you can perceive. But strategic use of the filters can really help cut down on the list of videos that eventually show here. So you see all of these have the YouTube symbol. Now, before we head into that creation space, because I know we have to get videos into Studio, I do want to make sure that you have an understanding of how to access and then manage your own settings. So if you're inside a Studio, click on that link there and we'll talk about what you see there. So you have three tabs. We'll just focus on two of these tabs. The Personal tab shows you a couple of options that have already been turned on for you. And that's because your admins turned it on. While you can move the toggles, these are recommended settings, and I would also recommend you not adjust these unless you've got a compelling reason. The settings you can enable here are, I think, pretty self-explanatory. Enabling auto publish is something I'd recommend you have off only because when you initially get that video into Studio, you have the option to check the captions that Studio creates for you. And again, humorously, because I've gone through this many times, I have found I pride myself on being a clear speaker, but Studio does not always agree. And then it replaces my words with words that are not supposed to be there. If you don't have auto publish on, you can try to catch these before you actually manually publish. Enable assisted caption editing, I think, can also be helpful. You can feel free to turn on that toggle and then test it for yourself as you work in Studio. But you can also always come back here and turn it off or turn anything on that you want. Finally, you have this feature to send email notification when captions are generated. I think this is a good idea, but of course, it would mean that you have to check your email to make sure that you get that message to know that your captions are good to go. So those are the settings. Under groups, so let's talk just a little bit about this because I see you have the option to create studio groups. Remember my fictional chemistry group? So let's say I want to set up a chemistry group. The purpose of this group is for us to share videos to the group instead of typing out every individual's name, which is your other option. So if I am setting up the group, I am going to be de facto the manager, right? I am the one that can add and remove people. Versus my colleagues who are going to be members, they can share content with others, but that's it. So if I want my two other colleagues to share with me, I have to give them manager as well. But what you would do is you would simply click on the plus button, type in their name, manage whatever permission they have, right? And then save it. So with me and Karen being in the group means that Karen can also share chemistry videos to this group for the benefit of the group. All right. I think now's a good time to pause for any questions you might have. How are you all doing?
And just to confirm, Helen, the link in the course navigation to Studio, that's just to show you what's in that course. If you wanted to add captions, if for some reason you didn't auto-publish the captions, you have to go into the Studio through Global and do the captioning that way.
Yep.
Thank you.
Question, what are the permissions?
One quick thing.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
our captions are generated automatically. We have the ASR captions, so they're auto captions, so you shouldn't have to go in and enable your captions.
Correct. It's the publishing that you, depending on your preference, like you might want to turn on or turn off. I was just recommending looking at the captions once they're generated to make sure that the words that are in the captions actually match what you said. Yeah.
I had a quick question about the groups.
Mhm.
I understand that you've used them for like students to submit groups and share the videos they've made. Would it be, would another use case possibly be if you're in a department where there's a class that lots of different people teach and there may be recorded lectures in Studio, creating a group for faculty to share those recorded lectures, or is there a better way to do that?
I think this is a great way for you to do that, Rebecca. So this could be, as you said, even across departments for videos that are in common. Um, there's a question about I'm thinking about students. Um, this is my personal bias. although you can share videos with students this way, right? Like your first lecture, your second lecture. I prefer having those videos be present in the course where they're more in context. So while you could use groups, I would prefer to have it be part of a Canvas module, for instance, where you have the lecture one studio video in the module as a link alongside the other module resources. Having all of the videos present in one group means that students have to search for lecture 16, right, in the group. As opposed to, as a student, I could just go to module 16 and there's the lecture for module 16. Does that make sense?
I had a follow-up question about like if you were to create groups for faculty to share lectures, would you recommend creating groups based on like a group based on the class or a group based on maybe like the department that all teaches it? Does that make sense? Does it matter?
I don't know that it matters, but I think for ease of navigation, having as narrow a scope as possible is helpful. So maybe just confined to a single course that 4 adjuncts work in, something like that.
Mhm.
So that way I remember, oh, accounting 201, right? There's that particular group for accounting 201. Can you create a group of videos that are public? Maybe you can address that when we get to collections. Can you share videos across multiple classes? So if you were to use studio groups, then yes. Um, but again, you have to think about how students are going to be able to find those videos. And so you have to explain to students, you're all going to go to the same group, Accounting 101 and Accounting 201 and Accounting 301. So if you have all of those videos all together in one giant bunch of videos, um, I mean, I know they'll search because they have to, but I don't know if that would be efficient for them. Let's put it that way. Okay, great questions, everybody. So, we've done a lot of talking, but not so much talking about getting videos into Studio. So let's take care of that right now. So inside of the global area, or if you wish, you can do this inside the course, right? Because you might be intending on using this in the course. You have here a create dropdown. So let's imagine here that you want to start really simple. And by simple, you want to use a YouTube video or a Vimeo video, or maybe you have MP4s of yourselves doing your lecture in front of the whiteboard or demonstrating something, and you want to go ahead and add them here. So click on Add Media. Here is where you would drag and drop that MP4 if you've got it. And so here you would just search for the video you're looking for. And you saw that message just kind of pop up here. And here's that video that I created in another program. So note the difference here, right? You get that YouTube symbol here versus the same symbol, but not in red. And then you have the person that uploaded it here. Now, if you're adding something from YouTube, you'll have to have that external link. So I'll just show here this video that I have pulled up. I'm going to go ahead and grab that URL, and it should be for that public video. So you can paste that here. And then the link, and this is a link, this link gets pushed in here into your library. Notice, by the way, the order in which the cards are being displayed, right? The most recent card is listed in the top left-hand corner. Remember, you do have options here, and they pop up as you keep on adding videos in this arrow menu. You can reorder them in different ways, like alphabetical order if you want. And then here's that other view if you just choose the list view instead. So That's how to get those videos from elsewhere inside of your global library. But right here and right here, for those folks that are more of the DIY type, you have two options for creating a video directly inside of Studio. By the way, students also have these options too when they create and then upload a submission as an assignment. So you have here, first of all, Studio Capture. Now, just to show you, maybe especially for a world language course, maybe that's the most helpful, where you can turn off the webcam. So just so you can see, you can have students or you can record audio only. Otherwise, you can have your face showing. Here is where you can manage options for screen capture, and the default is disabled, but you'd have to turn on enabled. It does appear like Inception here, but here is where you'd start to record. Hi there, here is a look at my global studio library. You have an option to pause and then come back, and then you just come back and then continue. Hello, here's the continuation, and then do finish recording. I would recommend that you give a good title to this video, so I'll just call this Global Navigation Studio Demo, with an option to start over or just to go ahead and save it. And there it is appearing right here. Notice, by the way, right, it's following the order that I designated here, so I didn't have to change it again, which is nice. So that's how that Studio Capture works. And then Screencast-O-Matic. So just note this will require a download of a different program called Screencast-O-Matic. Now, once the download happens, you'll be able to see here momentarily, I hope, because I think it's trying to get me to download it again, to where there we go, to where you see this dashed line, which is a difference between this Studio Capture and this application. So I can limit the scope of the visual of the video. I can make this frame bigger or smaller and just record what's inside here. You can turn on a webcam or both screens, manage your microphone from here. You can turn your audio off, and then you would click on record. Hi there, let's click on allow. Hi there, MTSU. Here is our recording of Screencast-O-Matic. And then clicking pause and then done. You see we kind of swooped on over to the screen recorder application here. Now, a prime difference between that screen capture and Screencast-O-Matic is you have some access to editing tools. And I find these editing tools are stronger than, or let's put it this way, more varied than the ones available directly in Studio. So just to show you, oops, let's do that again. You can insert other videos kind of at specific points in the video. You can even add things like music. You can cut out specific points like here and here. I can do cut and copy and kind of take this part out. Now, would that take learning and time on your part to do? Yes, absolutely. But once you're finished, then you click on upload. Oh, let's put a title. And then at some point that video will appear. See, we got an upload to Studio link here. And then it will appear here eventually as a separate card. Oh, actually, there it is right there because it was just 8 seconds. Okay. As far as Screencast-O-Matic is concerned, I'm wondering, because I just saw Rebecca's question. I don't see Screencast-O-Matic in MTSU. I wonder if it's blocked, because it does require like a download of an external program. Okay. I wonder if it's your browser then, because I'm using Chrome. If you're not using Chrome, see if you can access the Screencast-O-Matic option if you access through Chrome. All right. So I think as to what you use depends on your use case and your time, right? I like Studio Capture, right, for obvious reasons. Students can see your face, and you can actually be actively demonstrating something that you would demonstrate in person anyway. But you can also have your screen showing as you saw, and that's why that Studio Capture is nice. Now, if you're more of a video editing person, you really might like Screencast-O-Matic. And I use Screencast-O-Matic all the time as part of my role because it's right here. So that's how you get your videos into your global library. And then again, just to remind you, you have the same options here, right? To drag and drop or get your YouTube's videos in here. And inside the dropdown, remember, you can always go to your global area here through My Library. Oh, awesome. Great. All right. Let's pause here and see if there's any other questions. Oh, that's a great question about Instagram. Yeah. I don't think you can provide, say, the link from Instagram. I don't think that's going to work. All right. Let's go ahead and investigate other options that you can kind of use inside of Studio. I know you're noting at this point, what about students? We're not quite there yet. Uh, you can absolutely link those videos from Studio to your course, but first I want you to get a sense as to how to manage the space that you currently have here. So let's take a look at options for managing your list. I know you've seen right here, as the number of videos populated, that this number kind of automatically tabulates. You have here a checkbox too, and that allows you to select multiple videos, like I can select all of them or just some of them. And then the options in this menu allow me to apply those options to just the videos that I'm checking off. So for instance, from here, I can move these to a collection, more in collections in just a little bit, or to add tags to multiple videos at the same time. Now, as far as the individual videos themselves, let's take a look at thumbnails. And we'll take this video because this is a video that I created, right? Similar to the course card, where you have an image showing on the card for students. Canvas allows you to upload your own picture. So if you don't want this picture to show, which is randomly chosen by Canvas, you have as an option here to replace the thumbnail. So maybe you want it to be more representative of this particular lecture. So right here, I click on replace thumbnail, pick that image, whatever that happens to be. And now that's the video card image, if I can go ahead and call it that, which should be more reflective of the content in that video. Other things you can do include collections. So let's say I want to create a group of videos. This is harking back to someone else's question about collections to be shared that belong to, say, one theme, one chapter, one topic in your course. So what I can do is go ahead and select, let's say this is the first video to go into that collection, this move to option. And then here I can go ahead and create that new collection. So I'm going to call this Studio Tutorials. You can choose to call it Chapter 1, Acids and Bases, Accounting Basics, whatever you wish. And now you have here a new entry because this new entry represents the new collection that you just made. So when you click on it, you directly enter the collection, and that's where it is. So now you are directly inside of that collection. Hello, click back. There we go. Now, if I wanted to do multiple videos, like move multiple at once, right? I can just click on that checkbox here. And then in the 3 dots for those 2 videos, you can do move to, and then move them both to Studio Tutorials. And of course, obviously you can move videos out of the collection as well. Now you see right above the collection title, right? Studio Tutorials, you have a new menu. Right here, you can archive the collection, and that just means you're not using those videos anymore. You can rename it, or you can share the entire collection. And so here are some options for that. I can share with specific individuals, right? And I can type in multiple names here. Or if you have already set up a group, and so you should have done this before this point, you'll see a list of all the groups that you are a manager of, and then you can just share simultaneously to all 5 members of the group from here. So that's a nice use case for having a group set up. Now, when I have individuals mentioned here to share to, you can manage what they can do with the video. So can they only just view and share media? So can they put that video in their course for students to see? Yes. Or I can let that person, in addition, edit, copy, or rather edit and download the videos that I have here. You can also remove access if needed. So those are your options for sharing. Again, I think this is a nice thing to do for several professors or instructors that need to have access to that group or to that collection. Or if you just need to share a single video, click on the 3 dots, and then you can click on Share Media from here. That's correct. You'd have to share those videos with others when they copy the course because you have to make sure they have access to view. Now, when it comes to sharing individual videos, so you notice you didn't have this option before. This lets you create a video or have a video be part of your studio, but to create a public link for it. So let's say you have a student that's, for whatever reason, right, they're experiencing issues with access. And they email you, then they say, like, I just have to watch the video, professor. So what you can do is you can grab the link to the video, because this is what's called a public video, a public link rather, copy the link, and then you can email the student the link. You can also obtain an embed code for that video and use Pages, maybe inside of Canvas, to embed it here. But this is a nice way for you to maybe, I don't know, use case. You create a video that's explaining your progress on your research, but you need colleagues from other institutions to see it. I think that would be a good use case for creating a public link for yourself. So that's available within the individual area. But to go towards this next question here in the chat, when you share the collection, you can only share with individuals or with a studio group. And specifically, the people in the studio group should be part of MTSU. That's what's meant by a studio group. So this is not going to allow you to create a public link for a collection, but you can do so for an individual video. And while we're here, I do want to talk about editing. Two options to edit. There's edit media and edit tags. So when I click on edit media, and to be clear, this is just for your original created videos. You can't do this for YouTube videos. But you can do some very basic edits like cutting and trimming. So I can hold down on here, and then I have to do this always carefully. You see that arrow there? So I can do some cuts here, right? Discard or confirm the cut. And then trimming allows for you to cut off the ends of the video, you know, for those dead times that happen at the beginning and at the end of a video. But that's all is possible inside the editing area directly in Studio. So if you wanted to do anything fancier, like add music to it, I think your only option there would be Screencast-O-Matic, or you can always do so within like a separate video program you might have access to. And then you have to save your changes. When you save, and I do like this, you can replace the original or create a copy, and I like the ability to create a copy. So at least you keep the original, right, in case you messed it up. But there's the new version of that video you just made. And then you have the option to edit tags. So I hit enter there to make it save. You can add multiple tags. And then at this point, once the tag exists, you can filter for it and locate the videos with that tag. And then finally to archive. And by the way, if you need to delete a video, you have to archive it first. So I put it into my archive here. And then if I've decided, nope, like this is not going to make it, I'm done with this, click on the three dots where you can restore it and you can choose where to put it, or you can just make it disappear entirely, do delete permanently. All right, friends, let's pause here. How are you all doing? Doing okay? Okay. All right. Now, we have an idea as to how to get these videos in and do some things with them, but we haven't talked about interactivity options. So we will get to that right now. So I'm just going to head back into my library here. Let's talk first about annotations. Annotations are notes that pop up while the video is playing for students if you're the one adding annotations. Students can actually create annotations if they have settings for that. So imagine teacher education, perfect example. Maybe you're asking those students to video themselves interacting with a colleague, right? Because you're trying to teach them something about professional communication, whatever the case is. So you can have that student record that video, and then once that video is in their library, they can add annotations. Like at this point, I was thinking, or at this point, note that I was saying, and then the annotations can be submitted with the video when the student submits in the assignment. So I just wanted to show you, like, this is available to students too. So you want to add annotations. Click annotate. And we all see this plus button right here, right? That's if you want to add that note at the beginning of the video. If you don't, let's say you want the annotation to appear here, click anywhere in the timeline where you want that note to appear, and then you click on the plus button. I don't know of a limit. I think you can add as many annotations as you wish. So think of this as your opportunity to call or ask students to pay special attention to what's happening here. So say here, note number 1. So this is a great place for you to add, extensions, comments that add to the student experience when they're watching the video. And if you wish, you can even add a link. So maybe there's a research article, an image they need to see that adds additional context. In which case you can add that text here, like for more information, and then paste the link. I'll just choose this link here. So once you have this note card, this annotation set up, this overlay appears directly on top of the video and also pauses the video. Except they won't obviously be able to edit, but they will see what you put down for the annotation and then a link for more information. So the student will have to, from this point forward, they'll have to click continue to continue with the video. And then it keeps rolling until they see the next annotation. So see, there's a little plus sign there. Maybe you go to the next part here and you add your other annotation. And you see this little symbol that popped up, the speech bubble, is the eponymous symbol for annotations. And then once you're done, you hit done. Now, you don't see any indication on the video that there are annotations. If you do want to see if there are annotations, I think the best way to do that is to click on the card itself for the video, and you'll see exactly where those annotations are located. And if you click on that video symbol, you can see what the annotation is. But you can't see directly from the card itself. And when it comes to quizzes, so let me show you here. When I click on that 3 dots here, let me go back. You have here, is at the very top, right? The quizzes link here with an option to create the quiz. Now, I do want to manage expectations. After you set up the quiz questions, which is what we're doing now, there is more setup to ensure that students can access and also get grades into the gradebook. So just know that this is step 1 of a process. But you'll add in your video quiz title. I'm putting that as for a reason that you'll see later. Add an optional description, and then you see here some settings. I think it depends on your feelings really on this topic. If you would like for students to see that there are annotations, and so that means they'll be able to see the speech bubbles at those points in the timeline, then allow them. Otherwise, they won't have any warning that there are annotations. This right here, I think I would recommend, at least for the first run through of the video, because if you leave this off, students will be able to see that there are questions at certain points on the timeline. And so there will be like a circle or a symbol, a question mark. And if students see that there's a question mark there, they might be tempted to go straight to the question and then go back and rewatch the video. So they might not watch the video in the order you intended. So I think hiding the question markers can be a good idea. I'll leave this off just so that you can see what the symbol looks like. So you set up your quiz, click Get Started. And so similar to the annotations. So let's say you want to have your first question appear right here, for instance. And by the way, you can play the video to determine when's the best point. Click on the plus button, and you see right here your choices. I know it's a smaller list of question choices than you have inside of new quizzes. We are working on other options, including an essay option that should be coming sometime this year. But for now, this is what we've got. So let's just do true, false. So you would type in your question. Indicate your correct answer. And if you wish, you can insert question feedback, right? Similar to what you do inside of new quizzes. And if you're thinking this looks like new quizzes, you're right. It's a new quiz. But here you can enter in your feedback. Just know that here's an implication, right? You don't have the rich content editor. So, at least here. So you're not able to say add in a document or link. Although I suppose you could just add the URL for that extra resource here. And then you click on save. Ah, I see it's a number, not a question mark. Used to be a question mark. And then you would go on to the next point, and then you would continue to add in your questions until you reach the end. So just so you know, right, like this is what the multiple answer looks like, and you'd have options to shuffle choices here. And then for multiple choice, oh, you can even vary points by answer here. Here, shuffle choices, and you can lock distractor position. So that is the same as in new quizzes. And then you would go on to add in all of your questions, and then you would hit done. Now, unlike annotations, you can tell right from the course card if there's a set of quiz questions attached, because you get this rocket ship. And maybe you have multiple levels of a content area, but you find that one video is pertinent to several levels. If you remember, I created an introduction to chemistry quiz. Well, this lets me add a different set of quiz questions, but maybe for a more advanced class. So you can have different sets of questions for different purposes, but use the same video in different courses. So just to show you, right, here's where I would add in those quiz questions for the upper level course. All right. So that's getting some interactivity options inside of your quiz or inside your video. Before we leave this area, because I know we're thinking, well, students, students, I know. I do want to make sure that you are cognizant of the controls and other options you have here when you click on the card here. So I just clicked on the title. Here again is that video for you to play if you want to see it. But here are some options for you if you want to control some aspects of how students see the video. And I pulled this from YouTube, so it came with all of this language from the content creator. Just know that you can edit the description. So if you don't want all this ad type of stuff, you can edit it. You can even add your own information. And here's another way you can add more tags to it. Just hit save. Over here in captions, since this was pulled from YouTube, it's letting me know there are captions available in other languages. For your own videos, we'll take this one. As was mentioned, Sherry mentioned that it does auto caption. And right here, I can actually see the caption. So I'm clicking on the link here. And so I can have this opportunity to fix, say, the ums.
Hey,
Or, yeah.
I just want to say how amazing the studio caption experience is, because anyone who's on this call who's ever had to edit captions in YouTube or anything like that, it's a pain in the patootie, but this works just like a Word document. You just click right on it and you can edit those captions. So that's like a huge Canvas win right here. Huge win.
Absolutely. There's even a kind of a find and replace type of option. So if you're noticing this, kind of out of the corner of your eye, like you have the same word being replaced by this same other word, you can replace all. Of course, if you wish, right, you can add in additional captions files here, right? There's that upload option. And in the three dots here, we know about edit because we were just there. You can replace the captions file with another one if you have it, or you can download the captions file. You can open that file and then make that file available to students that need it. And then as for these other two options, let me show you these inside of my Canvas because they're a little more pertinent here. Actually, let's do it maybe from here. So this is a video that is part of a Canvas course. Here is where you would access the insights. The insights would be the student data. Can you see if Helen watched the whole video or if she skipped around? As a matter of fact, let me pull up something with better data inside of it because that one does not. Or can I do it from here? Here we go. So even within the page where you may have it embedded, and we'll get to this momentarily, you are able to see. The quiz questions listed inside of here. See if I find a better way in. Oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Here's insights. I don't have a lot of data to show you, but I think this is enough for you to see that you can see the total number of viewers. And because it's just for one student, it's easy to see that this one student was skipping at various points in the video. You can even see the number of average plays. And then here is that data for, in this case, this individual student. So you see right off the bat, she only watched 63% of the video. With a graph that gives you a sense as to what was exactly skipped. So the blue areas are the areas she actually watched. And every student would be listed here with their completion data and their completion graph. If you wished, you can download the CSV as a spreadsheet for you to analyze. And if you do have this as part of a quiz, you're even able to see quiz results here. So when you click on the attempt for a single student, you can see exactly what their answers were and their total number of points earned. And because this is part of a studio assignment, what's called an external tool assignment, these number of points would be automatically recorded in the Canvas gradebook. And as for the other areas you saw, oh, not here. You can have students add comments to videos once that video is made part of the course. Yeah, here, right here. And these comments can be made part of an assignment or maybe a task that you have students do. So you can see all the comments that any student has made for that specific video. You'll even be able to see at what points they were added. So you notice here the timestamp. And like with the quiz you just saw, you can access insights for just a video that you put inside of a Canvas page or assignment directions. So that lives right here. Now, all of that was kind of the run up to getting your content inside the course. So before we get there, any questions I can answer for you?
I had a question about quizzes in these and like I have used quizzes in Panopto and I stopped doing that because if there was ever an issue with like regrading a question that was, I put it in wrong or a student needs an extra attempt because of like internet timing out. I'm assuming that because these can be put into Canvas quizzes, that all of those kind of settings and moderations are accessible within if a student is taking a quiz that's embedded in a video. Is that right?
So studio quizzes are certainly a special species of new quiz. At the current moment, as in today, students can retake studio quizzes as often as necessary, and there's no time limit. So they can spend as long as they need to get the questions correct. Because the intent of a studio quiz is not really to serve as a final summative kind of assessment. It is something along the lines of a flipped classroom where you have students watch the lecture beforehand and then they come with their questions and you're just enforcing the fact that they should be watching the video and checking themselves for comprehension. So the fact that all these options are kind of de facto inside of Studio makes it so that students can take as long as they need to complete a quiz. Now, that being said, there are options that are being worked on to, for example, force students to watch or to force students to have a certain number of attempts because we know that more educators want to have more control, but those options are not available today. I'm anticipating they'll come out before the end of the year. Yeah, and it's okay to feel like, oh, like this sounds really loose. Like I need to have students to have only 2 attempts. I get it. But those options are not available today. They are being worked on though. All right. Up until this point, no student has seen any video that I have made part of my studio. So let's talk about how to get students in front of those videos. I want to kind of insert a little bit of Canvas review here. A Canvas page or assignment directions or discussion directions can absolutely have a studio video embedded inside of it. So here's the workflow. You would create your page, your assignment, your discussion prompt, your quiz question and new quizzes. And right here in the plug, right here, you can search for the studio link. Otherwise, you might see the telltale octopus in your RCE, in which case just click that. And when you click that octopus, you immediately access your library, starting with your collections. So I can kind of drill down here, right, and locate specific videos that I want to add. Now you have here some options. This is the basic embed, right? It's just the plain video window. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, let's use that same video. If you don't want it to be so basic, you can add display media tabs. So I'm going to do this on the same page so you can see the difference. Okay, so here is that initial video, the plain window. Here is that same embedded video with media tabs on. So the difference will be students can access the comments tab and the captions tab. They can subscribe and be notified of additional comments made on the video. They have access to details, but you are the only one that can access insights, so they won't see this. So the difference is that is purpose, right? If I just want the student to see the video, like I don't care about comments, they just have to see the video. then don't put in the media tabs. If, on the other hand, capturing the insights is really important to you, or having students add comments to the video to have a sort of discussion without creating a discussion, then turn on the media tabs. Either way, those students will just click on play, view the video, add those comments if you enabled it. But I want to put a heavy emphasis on this. Folks, this is a page. This is not an assignment. So while students can enter comments on the video, this is not tied to a Canvas assignment, not directly. So this is a formative exercise, not something that delivers points to the Canvas gradebook automatically. Now, a note here on embedding, because I know this has come up. The size of the video can be modified. So I clicked on the window to make the blue border appear, and then I'm holding down on the corners to make the video window larger or smaller. So that's how you can adjust that. I believe you can do that. Hi there. No, you can't. I was going to try to do that with modifying this window here, but it looks like you're not able to. Let's try here. No. But in both of those cases, I think you can enable like a full screen view. So anybody watching, you just click on it to see the video larger. All right, so that's how you can adjust that window, and that's what students see with and without tabs. All right, brilliant. So let's go ahead and move on here. Here's how a page looks with an annotated video on it. So just to show you, right? These dots here, by the way, are comments right here. These little speech bubbles are annotations that I put there because we're watching this video about Russia. And you can see here as you click it, like students can actually click on the speech bubbles and skip to the annotations because I allowed annotations to be viewed. Now remember, this is a page, but you can have a studio page with a video that has quiz questions attached. So this again is great for formative opportunities. Remember that this is embedded in a page, so there's no direct link to the gradebook, but students can still test themselves on their knowledge because the quiz questions come up, they answer them, and you can still access quiz results. But again, no points get delivered to the gradebook this way. And so those are all options to embed your video into your course. You can embed inside a discussion. Right? So this, again, this is just a discussion board with a video inside the prompt. You can add media tabs if you want. And you can even have students put their own studio videos, because just to show you, inside of Reply, they also have studio. So right here in the plug, they click on Studio Media, pick through their library, or they can even record videos from inside of this space because they have a create button. So they can make a video as a discussion reply. Let me tell you, like students love that. The ability to be able to watch each other's videos like while interfacing on an academic topic is really helpful. So they can do that here. And you can also do that here too. You can also make Studio an external tool. So that's this video here. Notice the icon is different. It's a chain link, but it can be clicked. And students can watch it as part of an external tool. So to add it this way, let me go back. You want to click on the plus button for the module. click on the drop down here and choose external tool. And then you search for Studio. Go to the S's, right? And then from here, you either create the video right now or you pick out the video that you want to add, whatever it happens to be. And again, you can display media tabs or not. So once you land back in this space, just like adding any external tool, you click on Add Item. And there it is there. And you just have to publish it. So far what you've seen is making videos visible to students, right, inside a page or assignment directions or discussion directions, or make it visible inside of a module. So let's pause here. We're going to get into Studio assignments here momentarily. And Studio is a default option for submission type. But before we head into assignments, do you have any other questions or anything you want to bring up about Studio? Okay, sounds like the people want to see assignments. So let's talk about assignments. We can go ahead and do it from here. So I will come back into Studio. Actually, I'm going to do this inside of a course. And I'll just go ahead and use a module for this. So I'd say there are two kinds of Studio assignments. You can have a Studio assignment where the student submits a video. And those are, by the way, great, especially when you pair them with rubrics. So you grade the video on a rubric. So that's option one. Option two is the type of video assignment where the quiz questions count towards the gradebook. So two options for grades to be earned. So I'm going to go ahead and get some started. I'm going to duplicate two assignments. Always my suggestion to you, because they come pre-populated with grade instructions that you just edit. So let's take a look at this first copy here. This is going to be for students that are submitting a video, like for teacher education. Here is where you place your directions, guidelines for the video, like length, like quality, what you expect to see in the video, and then you will want to fix your accessibility, of course. I'll let you know. Most of the settings here are just the same as in any regular assignment, like points, assignment group, and so on. As a matter of fact, everything is the same up until here. So when I click on the submission type, you have to move away from online. Oh, actually, no, you don't. I was thinking about the other type. This is the type when we want students to submit that video. So you can keep that on online. I correct myself. Figure out your number of submission attempts. Figure out your due date. Click Save and Publish. And here is where you can go ahead and find a rubric. I'll just pick this for right now. Let's do project. And notice you could even enable self-assessment at this point. We'll have a rubric session later, but in short, this lets students use the rubric to assess themselves after they submit their video. So you can check that off here at this point if you want. So now that we have this published, I'm going to go ahead and make sure the module is published so that you can see exactly what this looks like for students. All right, so then we test this out. Here's view as student with the rubric attached to it. Now, there are two options. Like students will still have an option to do whatever choices you made in the click boxes for the assignment. But right over here is the Studio button. If you expect students to use Studio exclusively for this assignment, I would recommend you put in the assignment directions, only use Studio or something to that effect. So our student here, me, I'm going to go ahead and click on that plug. Here's where I can create that video or add a video. The choices that appear here depend on settings. So the option to turn off YouTube could be turned on if you want. So students can upload a video they made elsewhere, just to show you that. Or they can create using Studio Capture or Screencast-O-Matic. Hi there, here's my submission for the teacher education assignment. So after this finishes processing, which it will pretty soon, there will be here an option to click Submit Assignment. By the way, if you are looking at this and you're not seeing a Studio button here, you might want to look under More because it might be listed there, just FYI. So I click on Submit. Well, this might be because I'm inside Test Student. But your student will click on Submit, and then from that point, you can go into SpeedGrader and you can see that submission. So that's the first kind of assignment. The student submits a video for your assessment. The second kind of video is the one that uses the quiz questions we just made. So this is what this is going to be for. And I'm going to put here in the directions, these are external tool assignments. So they start out as regular assignments where you would type in your directions, but I would recommend you not embed the video in that case. Just type in regular instructions for students here, right? Check for accessibility. Enter in your desired points, etc. But now you will adjust the submission type. So I choose here, instead of online, external tool, click find, and now you have to find Studio. Now, when you go looking for videos, you specifically have to find a video with a rocket ship, period, and a statement. Because remember, these videos are the ones with quiz questions attached. So I'll go ahead and pick my silver video here. And you'll be directed to embed a quiz. So here's where you add that set of quiz questions. And then you click Embed Media. You're brought back here. So select on select. And then the rest of these, you go ahead and make sure to set that due date. And now your video quiz is ready for students, which also delivers points to the Canvas gradebook. So we want to see what this is like from that student perspective. Click on View as Student. So they will also see a Get Started button here.
So metal.
So just to show you, there's that video that pops up. But if you remember, when I made this video, I chose not to hide the questions. So I think you can now see the utility of fixing that when you go back to your quiz settings. You also have a button here to rewatch for the student. So when they answer this question, they click Continue. Now, I know you're thinking about the student that just previews all the questions. They are prompted at the end to make sure that they have answered all the questions before they finally submit.
over lying around.
So then they will go to the end of the video here, and then they will submit quiz. A button will appear here to that effect. And then on your side of things, right, as students submit, you'll be able to see insights. See? That caught my watch just now, as well as quiz results. And then you can check the grade book once you have some posted grades here to see the final grade in that area. So those are the two options you have for setting up assignments for student grades. Before we head into gradebook and looking at it through SpeedGrader, any questions? All right, let's look at the SpeedGrader experience. Let me go ahead and find one here. So here's the context. Students had to manipulate this simulation on their own. They had to record themselves in studio comparing various models of the atom, and then they submitted that, and we have to grade the videos now. So just to show you, there is a rubric attached here that you can use while you're looking at student submissions. So you go to SpeedGrader like you normally would. Here is the student's video. You as an instructor, you can add comments as you play the video. So let's say I played just to here. And here at this point, I can go ahead and add a comment here, which is visible to students when they access their grades later. So there it is right there. You can add your own replies, and students can also reply back to you using the commenting options here. Remember that that's what the dots mean. These are comments. This right here is an annotation that the student created. So remember and this was a while back, I know, when your student sets up a video in Studio, they can add their own annotations through the three dots inside their library. So this is where you can view the annotation that the student put in. And then right over here off to the side, you see all the same options you always could see for regular assignments, like all the submissions they did, the rubric, where I can click on those indicators to show what I think of that video, and options to add comments. And you still have options at the very bottom to add additional general comments, emojis. You can even use Studio to create feedback video. So imagine video on a video and using the feedback in the comment library. So great options there. And looking in the gradebook here, as soon as you make that assignment, you get a column for it. So here's that atomic models assignment. And here you can easily see that someone has submitted that video with an option for you to go into SpeedGrader from here if you want. So in other words, it's just like any other assignment to look at it inside the gradebook. All right. Last, very quick, because I know we've been on Zoom for quite a while. Let's take a look at some tips on Studio and accessing and managing those videos. The captioning piece is already taken care of for you. When you create videos, keep them short. You make use of the interactivity like quiz questions and annotations. Provide feedback, and you have commenting features inside of SpeedGrader as well as inside of Studio. Pairing videos with discussions. I will just share just anecdotally. I've had really great feedback from students when we had discussion boards where the only accepted format was video. So they had to create a Studio video. Give students a time limit if you want them to submit videos. I think that's obvious. Add a rubric. provide instructions. And if you require they use Studio, I would say only Studio in the directions. Model the process. So, for example, when you set up a discussion board where you're requiring video, why don't you create an initial discussion reply using Studio? So you're showing, I know I'm having you use Studio, but this is me also using Studio. So model how it is to use Studio, and maybe even use it to springboard something fun like an introduction to the course video that's part of an ungraded discussion, for example. And then when it comes to grading, right, provide great feedback with video and audio, use a rubric, add comments, and you'll be able to access all the student submissions. Even if they submit multiple times, you can see all videos there. And that is the end. Thanks so much for joining. Is there any last question you might have for me before we go leave work for the day? Start small, right? Like you don't have to go all out. Start with creating a simple studio video, maybe a 2-minute introduction to the course, embed it in an announcement, call it a day, see how it goes, and go from there. All right. Any last questions before I let you all go?
Thanks, Helen, and thanks everybody for joining us for this more lengthy session this afternoon on Canvas Studio. Reach out anytime to the Center for Teaching and Mentoring if you've got questions regarding Canvas training, and we'll direct you to someone who can help support you.
Thanks so much, everyone. See you in a future training. We know
All
there's
right.
going to be some.
Thanks, Helen. Bye, everyone.
Bye.